Hello, Cummins. It is time for our video benefits presentation of the wonderful, generous benefits offered by Cummins to you, the great employees. My name is Ben, and I work for an insurance consulting and brokerage firm. I'm going to be walking you through all of the information in this guide. We're going to talk about medical, some Aflac plans, dental, vision, basic life, voluntary life, disability, and all of this is COBRA eligible, meaning you can take it with you if you leave. Before we get started, couple of housekeeping items. Right now is open enrollment. You can add somebody to the plan. You can take somebody off of the plan. You cannot make a change to whatever you choose during open enrollment unless you have one of these IRS approved qualifying life events: marriage, divorce, birth of a baby. If your spouse is in open enrollment, that is a qualifying life event. The biggest one that we always like to draw out on that page is "I don't like this" is not a IRS approved excuse. So you got to have a qualifying life event to make a change in the middle of the year. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas, we renewed with them, same policy number. Blue Choice is the network. Always remember that when you are seeking care, please don't ask, "Do you take my insurance?" Please do ask, "Are you in my network?" Big insurance companies have lots of different networks. You are on the most expansive, the Blue Choice PPO network. Starts over January and ends in December. And we have our 3 plans listed here. So let's go over strengths and weaknesses, pros and cons of each. So the low plan is the least expensive. The high plan is the most expensive. The middle is, guess what? Right in the middle. All of these plans cover preventative services: annual wellness exams, mammograms, pap smears, kiddo immunizations, colonoscopies. I think if you're over 45 now, it might be 50, but Merry Christmas on that. When you go to the doctor, when you're on the low plan, I actually have a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan that is almost exactly like what you have right here. And when you go to the doctor on any HSA eligible plan, you don't pay a copay. All a copay is a flat rate when you use something. You are going to pay the discounted rate for staying in network. So for example, if the doctor bills $200 and the network discount is 50%, then your portion is 100. If the doctor bills 100 and the network discount is 50%, then your portion is 50. And I'm using those network discounts as a general rule of thumb. Sometimes it might be more, sometimes it might be less, but that's always how an HSA has worked. Now on the mid and the high plan, you have copays, just a flat rate when you walk in the door. Retail visits and virtual visits on the HSA work the same. You pay the discounted rate for staying in network. On middle and high plan, you're paying copays for retail and virtual visits. Those retail clinics are kind of like the doc in a box places. Now, when you go into a hospital, what you'll see here are different levels of deductible on your base, your middle, and your buy-up plan. You have $5,000 of responsibility under the low plan. Middle plan is $2,500, high plan is $1,000. So that's typically going to be asked of you when you're in a facility or when you're in a hospital. You pay first and then insurance starts to pay. After you meet your deductible on these plans, then any bill that comes at you after you satisfy these numbers, then you're sharing in costs. That's what coinsurance is. You're paying 20 cents on the dollar, 30 cents on the dollar, 20 cents on the dollar on the high plan. And you keep paying your portion of that sharing until this bucket of coinsurance plus the deductible that you met equals $6,900, $5,500, or $4,000. And you either double or triple those numbers when you have a family like I do. So the worst case scenario, if you're in an individual on an HSA, is $6,900, individual mid plan $5,500, individual on the high plan is $4,000. Now those are still big numbers, right? So know that you can always arrange a payment plan with your provider. It's state law that you can arrange a payment plan with a hospital. I've done that before. You just pay it out over time. Now, the other big item is diagnostic labs and x-rays. HSA, same. You'll pay the discounted rate for staying in network unless you've hit your deductible. The mid and the high plan, if it's done in the physician's office, it is covered. That 0 means free to you. If it's outside, then it will be subject to these deductibles and that coinsurance. So when you're getting a diagnostic lab and x-ray, just know that it is dependent upon location. And then when you get a prescription, HSA is the same. You'll pay the discounted rate for staying in the network. And then the middle and the high plan, you're on copays, and they're preferred and non-preferred. That's just geography. The biggest item is that CVS is not inside the Blue Cross Blue Shield network. Can you still go there? Yes. You just pay the non-preferred rate. That's the big difference between preferred and non-preferred. But you'll see these copays. Again, copay is just a flat rate when you use something. You'll see the copays for prescription drugs on the middle and the buy-up plan. You do have an out-of-network deductible, and what I also want you to see, out-of-network, out-of-pocket max. So it is, by contract, it is technically unlimited. We have not had an issue with that in the past. So the Blue Choice PPO network, which is the one that you have, is the most expansive that Blue Cross offers. So, and if it's an emergency situation and you're being taken somewhere, it's covered as in network. So this would be only if you just chose because you wanted to go outside of the network, but we have not had that issue before. Blue Cross will always have a mandatory generic drug policy. That means if there's a generic and a name brand available and you want the name brand, you're going to pay the difference between the two. If there is no generic available and there's only a name brand, then they will cover on the copay the name brand for you. Here are the costs that come out of your paycheck. These are not the total costs, obviously. The company sponsors a very, very healthy portion of your benefits and buys down a lot of it on your behalf. And these are just the portions that come out of your paycheck, and these are on a monthly basis. This is the biggest public service announcement that we always like to say. There's a big old difference between a hospital ER, freestanding ER, and an urgent care provider. I was doing an enrollment meeting the other day and talking to an employee, and they said, yeah, I had a cold. I thought I was going into an urgent care, kind of a doc in a box place, but they said, see the doctor in 6 minutes. And they did, and it was a freestanding ER, and they got a $600 bill because they walked into a freestanding ER for a cold. So just know where you are accessing care. This is MD Live, 24/7, 365 access to a virtual doctor. I've used this before on my third kid when she had pink eye, lifted the kid up. Hey, doc, her eyes are red. I think it's pink eye. How did I know it was pink eye? 1, because it's not my first rodeo. 2, because her brother had pink eye. And so I just needed to fill a script, really. So it took me maybe 20 minutes to get some amoxicillin to the closest Walgreens to me. It was pretty easy, but that's a good use case for MD Live. This is Blue Cross's website. They also have an app. You can search for in-network providers, see where you are on your deductible. This is what you'll see when you get in to the Blue Cross Blue Shield website as it relates to you. You'll also get some rewards for the Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthy Living program. So make sure that you check that out as online based, and you'll get, you can sync fitness device, Fitbit, things like that, see where you are by taking a health assessment. And then you get some points each week through the wellness is called Well on Target. Okay, there's a lot of real estate, duck real estate in here, Aflac. So we've got several different policies. Okay, for the purposes of this recording, I'm not going to go line item by line item through all of them, but let us know if you have any questions. Here's what they do. Aflac sends money to your mailbox if specific events happen. First policy we have is an accident policy. Getting an accident, they pay, it's called a defined benefit. It is basically if you break your arm in 3 places, the payout's a little more than if you break your arm in 1, kind of a thing. So it depends on what it is, how severe it is. Money goes to your mailbox. Lots of folks like to pay a little bit of premium And then if something happens, Aflac sends money to their mailbox and you can use that money for whatever you want. That's accident. Cancer obviously is a cancer policy. God forbid that should be a concern or be in your family history. That policy is a lump sum benefit that comes to your mailbox if there is a diagnosis. Critical illness is more for heart attack and stroke. So a lot of folks kind of gravitate towards these policies based on family history. A lot of it, if they have some of this in their family, it may be worth consideration, but critical illness is heart attack and stroke. Hospital indemnity, you pay a little bit of premium to Aflac. When you go into the hospital, they send money to your mailbox and you can use that to pay the hospital. You can use that to buy groceries. So that's what these different policies do. We just went over a lot of real estate that we'll let y'all read later, but that's what I am scrolling through and trying not to do so quickly that you get seasick here. But you can see this is that critical illness policy. And there also, y'all, is a lot of information in here. When and if you have a question, please just reach out to us. Our contact information is going to be in the back. And Sachi, who some of you have already spoken to, will be able to address whatever question might come up. All right. Let's talk about some of the other policies in here. This is the Guardian. It's a different carrier. So Guardian Dental Guard Preferred is the network, and this is dental insurance. So every mouth gets $2,000 per year. So if you go in and you see where I'm scrolling, says 0% deductible waive for preventative services. So those are your twice a year teeth cleanings. So let's say you have a cavity that comes out of the teeth cleaning. So you don't pay anything for the teeth cleaning. But let's say the cavity is $200. You're going to meet just one time your individual deductible of $25. So 200 minus 25 is $175. And then a cavity would be a basic service. So you would pay 20% of 175, which is, oh gosh, something like 35, 40 bucks. That's cocktail napkin math, but that's close. And then the insurance company pays the remainder of the bill, and what they pay reduces this $2,000. You get ortho one time for kiddos, but everybody knows if you've had kiddos in ortho, it costs more than $2,000. I have 2 kids in ortho right now, and this is actually, I will say, a far better than average ortho benefit. So we like that. Here are the costs that come out of your paycheck for the coverage. I like this coverage. It's good coverage. Vision is actually pretty simple. So you've got the Guardian is the carrier. VSP Choice Network is the network. You pay $10 and then you've got a decision. Do you want glasses and lenses or contacts, not both at the same time? They'll give you $130 off your frames and then 20% off over the balance. And the lenses are on a copay unless you're really blind like me and you got to shrink those things down. You're not getting out for a $10 copay, neither am I. Contact lenses, so you either get frames and lenses or contacts, and they'll give you $130 in kind of a stipend towards your contacts. Costs are here. Basic life insurance, it's free to you. Everybody gets $20,000. I will say during open enrollment is the time to update your beneficiary. The best story I have is there's a contractor, a big contractor that we work with, and one of their employees passed away, and they put who I'll just call Crazy Susie as their beneficiary. Well, Crazy Susie shows up to headquarters thinking the employer is keeping the money, and they're not. It's at the insurance company, but she just wouldn't let it go. And so put somebody stable that you like. Yes, you can put your kids on there, but if they're under 18, they're not going to get the money until 18. You can split it up amongst your kids, or you can give everything to the child with the most promise and nothing to anybody else. This is extra life insurance. It's called voluntary life insurance. It's a busy page, but here's the deal. If you are a brand new employee, then you get and you're under 65, you get 200 grand of insurance you pay for, no medical questions asked. If you are a returning employee, a current employee, then you'll likely have to fill out some paperwork. That's called evidence of insurability. It's not automatic. And so you can choose an extra amount for yourself. And then if you do that, you can choose some for spouse and kiddos. All the information will be online. If you like to do math and calculate it yourself, we want to give you that opportunity. It's obviously based on age and then how much you are looking for. Disability insurance is insurance on your paycheck. So that's the category that this product fits in. It's from Guardian. Here's what it does. You've got a max benefit amount of $1,500 a week, 60% of your pre-disability earnings. It kicks in after 2 weeks, kicks in on the 15th day if you're sick or hurt, goes for 11 weeks. And so instead of using up PTO, if you get sick or hurt, some folks choose to buy a disability policy that protects a portion of their paycheck if they get sick or hurt. That's short term. Long term kicks in after 3 months, kicks in on the 91st day, 10 grand a month, 60% of your pre-disability earnings there. And it runs to your individual Social Security normal retirement age, which is usually somewhere between, it's usually around 67, 68. It actually depends on your birthday, what your SSNRA is. So if you get sick or hurt, can't come back to work at all, can't do any other jobs, then 60% of your pre-disability earnings are protected in an insurance policy. Give you the opportunity to do the math here as well. These are the rates, just like life insurance, they're based on age. STD actually is just one flat rate. The LTD goes up as we get older. This is the free stuff section. Guardian has a EAP, Employee Assistance Program. There's going to be some more flyers in here about that. Counseling and referral services for things outside of insurance because life happens, especially after COVID. The one that I gotta say that I really do like here is I like the will prep through Guardian. I think this is the most bang for your buck. It does have prepaid legal. You can check that out, and ID theft. But I am a believer in these will preps. It's form-based. My mom used one a couple of years ago. Her situation is very simple. And so she just used it to get everything documented, and it was free. And it was really helpful. Premium only plan simply means any benefit we can pass from employer to employee without taxation, we will do so. So that's a good thing. This is the flyer that I threatened you with on Guardian for the Employee Assistance Program. So you can see more about that. This is info on will prep. And the rest of this, y'all, is some late night reading material. I'm going to, again, scroll not too quickly so that you get a little dizzy here. But these are notices that are required by law. And we'll end on this page. If you have any questions, you can contact the team right here. There's the number. And you can also contact us. Here's all the vendor lineup information. And with that, we are going to conclude our meeting. Thanks very much for attending. Have a great year.